I will give you the proverbial spiel regardless. The AppExchange is the enterprise cloud computing marketplace with almost 3,000 apps and over 3 million installs. It's where Salesforce customers and non-customers alike go to install enterprise-scale cloud-based solutions. Customized for Salesforce, trusted and secure. They all go through our in-house security process, and best of all, reviewed by your peers. So who's who? I'm Benjamin James. I am a product owner here at Salesforce. I've been with the company for a little over 6 years, specifically working with our partners and the AppExchange. Introduce yourself, John.
Yep. My name is John Jessup. I'm the CEO of Cloud Conversion. We do e-commerce apps. Been working with actually Ben and the AppExchange for 9 years now. So I know I've seen the evolution of the AppExchange, but know inside and out kind of how to leverage the AppExchange. And then we obviously use Salesforce to manage our business. So we take advantage of a lot of AppExchange apps. And yeah, I'm excited.
Great. So I think the goal for today is hopefully teach you a little something you maybe not know about the AppExchange. We're going to keep this interactive, do some demos. I've been looking at PowerPoint slides all week, so let's try to keep this interesting. The first thing that I want to talk about is the fact that the entire site is curated. This is not that well known. We do have a woman, unfortunately she couldn't be here today, but her full-time job is to curate the AppExchange. So she eats, breathes, and sleeps AppExchange apps all week. With that being said, you should definitely, when looking at the site, take advantage of all the hard work she does on a daily basis. So pull up the site here real quick, and I'll give you an idea of what I'm talking about. So for those of you who don't know, obviously this is the AppExchange homepage. It's gone through several reincarnations over the years and looks fairly nice at this point. But the most important piece, as I said, with regards to curation, as you see at the top here, these are all curated apps. So again, these are apps that she's chose to highlight at this specific time. If I scroll down here on the left-hand side, we have all these categories. Again, these are all curated specifically by her. So if I were to drill into, let's say, the human resources section, she's categorized all these apps into the human resources category. So before we used to let our partners pick what categories their applications went into, and then you end up in a situation where someone says, my app fits into every single category. We've gotten away from that, and again, as I said, let's see if the internet is being a little slow. There we go. It's now fully curated by her on a daily basis. Any category you look at, and let's see if this will load for me. You have your featured apps here at the top. So again, these are applications that she believes are very, very important to the human resources category. These things change over time as her opinions tend to change. And then down here, you have the human resources apps that flow into the most popular section. So when looking for an app on the AppExchange, definitely take advantage of some of the work that she's done. If you're looking at a specific category, always good to take advantage of her hard work. We'll go back to the deck here. Second thing I want to talk about is filter during search. So again, this is something people typically don't take advantage of when using the AppExchange, is the filters. So as you can see here, I'm filtering up at the top on the native box. But again, if we go back to the site here, hopefully I don't make you too dizzy here. Let's set up a little bit of a mock scenario and say, I'm an admin at my company. I've been tasked with finding an app for our salespeople to comp our sales reps. We're in desperate need of an application. I'm coming to the AppExchange. Typically, the first thing most people do is they search. This is the most used feature on the site. And typically, someone's just going to punch in compensation management. I definitely suggest you don't use the search right off the bat. Use the categories, as I said earlier, that she's put together. Makes your life a lot easier. So if I go to sales, again, this is being a little slow for us, but it's been a long week. It's thinking. Says I'm connected.
While that's thinking, what goes into the decision points? What goes up there?
For curation? So she's fairly independent. As I said, she's just really every day installing these apps on a daily basis, talking to partners, talking to customers, what they like. And it's really, as I said, just her opinion in terms of what she feels like what app belongs in what category, and then what apps to feature, again, in said category. So this is really Really, really slow. But again, what I was basically going to show you is if I jump into the sales category, there's actually a subtopic for compensation management, right? So you can go right there. Again, she's categorized all these apps into compensation management. Makes it very, very easy to take it from almost 3,000 apps down to a handful. When you're evaluating apps, obviously you could go crazy and try to evaluate 10, 15, 20 different applications at a time, but that can be pretty overwhelming. So typically when people are evaluating apps, I always suggest narrow it down to a handful, 3 to 4 at most, to take yourself through the process. It really wants, oh, lovely. I'll give it a second. If not, I'll just jump back to the deck here. Maybe it's my VPN. Let's see if that works.
Can I ask you a question while you're...
Sure, why not? We'll keep this interactive as...
Is there a limit to how many apps you can download? Like if it's not...
So there is organizational limits, if depending on what edition you're using. But for the most part, I mean, you should be able... I mean, there's customers out there that have 20, 30, 40 applications installed. So typically, John's going to talk a little bit about this. People start in the free category, right? That's usually sort of where they navigate to. And then from there, they sort of get into the paid applications. But there's definitely plenty of customers out there that have built an entire spectrum of applications inside their organization that, you know, as I said, range in the 20, 30, 40
There is
number.
potentially a limit, depending on the...
Oh, that's really, really lovely. Look at that. So applications that are listed on the site are actually immune, for the most part, if they've gone through our security process, to not count against that limit. If you were to get apps elsewhere, let's say from a third party that wasn't necessarily listed on the AppExchange, that would count towards your limit. In theory, you could ball yourself up.
Yeah, so it's basically like tab limits, and then there's like some custom field limits. So it's based on the addition of Salesforce you have. So if you're like group or professional, your limits are going to be lower. But again, if the app's on the AppExchange, then it's not going to count towards those limits. And so if you actually go look at your org, you can actually see the installed apps and then whether or not they count towards limits.
Which is a great segue here, because now that it's loaded, as I said, we have their featured apps here up at the top, and then I can start using these filters. So for this mock scenario, let's say I'm a professional edition customer, you're only going to want to be able to install, you're only going to want to trial apps that are compatible with professional edition. We're willing to pay for it, so I'm going to filter on paid. And then the filter we were just sort of talking about is managed. Managed means that, again, these apps don't count towards your org's resources with regards to apps, tabs, and custom object limits. So I filter on managed, and I hit apply. You can see, let's hope for this loads. I've taken it from, again, almost 3,000 apps down to a pretty manageable number fairly quickly that I can start evaluating.
Can you talk about the other options there under managed?
Sure.
There was one that's native.
So native would mean that it's built entirely on the platform. So completely on Salesforce, there's no call outs to third parties of any sort of kind. So from a security standpoint, some people just like native applications, but again, all of these applications go through a rigorous security review process on our side and are trusted and secure and anything that we wouldn't use ourselves. Okay, so again, I've filtered now. You can see I'm down to a pretty manageable number, down to 9 apps. If I continue to filter, I could get it down to 2 or 3, as I said, for evaluation. If I move back to the deck here, one of my favorite things to talk about is the integration with the success community. So again, when evaluating applications, definitely leverage the success community. This is really fun. Again, it's been a long week. I'm not surprised. Integration with success community is great, again, when you're evaluating apps, because as you can see here, for this review specifically, you can see Michael Peterson's written a very nice review. And reviews are important, right? When looking at Yelp or an Amazon, reviews are typically the first thing that I navigate to, but how many times have you looked at a Yelp review, then they have 25-star reviews and 21-star reviews, right? And which ones you actually want to believe and which ones carry some weight. So again, if I go back to the site here, let's see if that seems to like it better. So we'll maybe do more demos here. If I go to a specific app, right, so if I look at Exactly here, our friends at Exactly who are great in the compensation space, and this hopefully will load. I can take a look at their reviews. As you can see right here, they have 55 reviews, 4.5 stars. Again, does not want to load for me, but the beautiful thing about the reviews is you can reach out to these people directly through the success community. There's a ton of dedicated customers out there, our MVPs, who are heavily involved in the customer community. A lot of them have reviewed these applications. A lot of them participate in user groups where they talk about these apps on a weekly basis. So when looking at an app or evaluating an app, definitely leverage the integration with the success community. And what you can do is very, very easily, through the chatter functionality, reach out to one of these individuals and ask them to tell you about what their thoughts are about the app. Chances are, if they're willing to write a 5-star review of an application, they'd be willing to spend 5 minutes with you to tell you what their experience has been like with the application, with the partner, what the process looked like. Just really doesn't want to cooperate with me. But very, very easy. So other than that, I'll jump back to the deck here. We'll give it a minute here, see if it warms up. Fourth thing I want to talk about is there is a full-time development team working on the AppExchange. Stop touching everything. Which is great. So we have a slew of developers, quality engineers, document writers, UX designers, development managers, product managers, dedicated to the success of the AppExchange and the customers who use the AppExchange. Mike, who's sitting over there by the door, I won't specifically call him out, but you can see his lovely face on one of these tiles. What does this mean to you? It means that we, much like the core releases, do 3 releases a year. So we're constantly adding new functionality, new enhancements to the site, as I said, to improve the experience for the partners, to improve the experience for the customers, tweaking the UI, making things a little bit more usable. Definitely also something good to keep in mind. And the fifth thing I want to talk about before I pass it over to John here is this AppExchange is built entirely on the Salesforce platform. A lot of people don't know this. When they ask prospects or customers ask me, hey, show me something cool on Salesforce, typically the first thing I show them is the AppExchange. Because again, it's built entirely on Salesforce, and it's a great example of what you can do with Salesforce technology. We also run the success community as well as the partner community on Salesforce as well. And again, all of these 3 things are integrated to make the experience just a little bit easier on you. We do also do some integrations with Stripe and Recurly. So if you've ever gone to a listing, you can sometimes purchase the application right then and there on the website. So we use a third-party, Stripe and Recurly, for payment processing. And with that, I think I'm going to turn it over to John here. Hopefully he has a little bit better luck than I did. Oh.
So yeah, a couple of things I think that are really interesting. One, it's not just apps. So 8 years ago, it was literally all apps, and now you can actually find consultants. And so obviously we're at Dreamforce. There's a lot of consultants here to help you be successful. But just like you can review an app, you can also review a consultant, and then consultants actually are incentivized basically to upload the projects they've done, and so you can actually sort of see what they're doing, and you can basically vet a consultant. And obviously, just like an app, it's all about the right consultant for the right job, right? So if you're a small like SMB company, you're obviously not going to go hire like one of the big the companies with a big booth here at Dreamforce, or but obviously if you're a $1 billion company, you probably want to work with one of the different tier consultants. You'll actually, just like the curation, there's also different sort of tier partners, and so it's based on sort of the size projects they do. But you can look for like custom app development or like certain type of consulting. So if you're looking for help and being successful with Salesforce, definitely check out the consultants tab and sort of look through the different reviews that they have and the companies that are available to help you. One of the things I'm really excited in, we're actually going to be implementing this ourselves, is there's a free app on the AppExchange called the Store Builder. So you can actually build your own AppExchange. This actually could be applicable for you if you wanted to basically have your own internal AppExchange. So say there was like 20 or 30 apps that basically your customers could basically use, or your users. Or from us, from a partner perspective, we actually partner with a lot of the companies that are here at Dreamforce, and a lot of our customers use their apps. But there's a lot of apps on the AppExchange that don't really apply to our retail customers. And so basically we'll have an app store just like the AppExchange running on our production Salesforce instance. But we can basically tailor the marketing around the apps, but how would it apply to our customers, right? So basically we can have our own AppExchange and all the benefits of that. And then basically the reviews and everything would go through that. So I actually just installed it like 15 minutes ago into our production org, And it's actually really, I can actually show you real quick. It's pretty cool. Would anybody ever like build their own AppExchange? Is that interesting at all? Yeah? Cool.
So bottom right? Yeah, I think I left your tab.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is, we're going to get into this in a little bit, but let's refresh this.
So theoretically, if I only wanted certain people in my org to see certain apps, I could use it.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, so you could actually build your own store, and then you basically can see you've got like store administration. And then you can basically, obviously I just installed it 15 minutes ago, so there's no installs, no page views, no published apps yet. But you can basically come in here into like app listings, and you can list, you can basically add a new app listing, and you can create your own categories. You can do different languages. You can basically have different types. So if it's like a web app or iOS app. So I mean, I think this is pretty cool, and it's it's an example of a free app that's available on the AppExchange, and but basically you have full control over like the look and feel. And so you can basically customize it and do whatever you want with it. So this is one thing I'm really excited about, and I think it'll be really helpful for our customers to, it'll obviously be work for us to take advantage of it, but I think it'll be really beneficial for our customers. So if you have time, check that out. And then let me just go back here.
Slideshow.
Yep. So next one. So new apps are being added every day. There's lots of partners, a lot of new partners. There's also a lot of like older partners that have been around for a long time that are adding new apps. And so every week there's a digest that goes out, and it basically talks about all the new apps. Every time I get this, I go through and just look and see what people are adding. There's a lot of free apps that are included in this that are done by like Salesforce Labs, but then there's also a lot of partners. There's also some consulting partners that maybe they did a project for one particular customer, but then they'll take that work and put it on the AppExchange, either as a free app or as a paid app. So I would assume most of you probably get this digest. So if you don't read it already, take a look at the new apps that are coming out, because it's definitely good to see what's happening with the AppExchange, but also as obviously Lightning Experience is a huge new feature. And we're gonna get into components next. But obviously with all the technology that's coming out now, you're gonna see a lot of apps that are Lightning ready, and apps that really will basically help you take your business to the next level by our partners leveraging that new technology. So I love free apps. Obviously, we use a lot of paid ones too, but one of the ones that we Tyler, our product manager, is implementing right now is Agile Accelerator, and I actually have some cards here if you're interested, and we have some of the Agile Accelerator guys in the room. So if you want to raise your hands if you have questions about the Agile Accelerator, but it's actually really cool. So Salesforce, the way that they do their Agile development and their Scrum is a system called Gus, and for years Salesforce customers were basically asking Salesforce for a tool, like they basically wanted access to the same Agile tools that Salesforce uses to run their business. And so Salesforce put a lot of work into making the Agile Accelerator or Gus available to all of us. And so literally you can go to the AppExchange, install the Agile Accelerator, and set up basically your user stories and your sprints if you're doing any kind of development or work. So as a partner, that's really exciting for us. A lot of them are open source. And so you could basically take the app and basically tweak it and modify it to fit your business model. And so we've done that with a couple different apps. And we've actually have a lot of customers that were using one app, and they actually wanted it to be integrated into our apps that are on the AppExchange. So we actually would basically take that app and then integrate it with all of our custom objects. And that's actually how we do it internally too. We have a lot of customizations around streamlining our business process. And so we've actually taken some free apps and really customized them to fit our needs. One of the other huge things is there's I think maybe 10 or 15 really awesome apps that are basically just provide reports and dashboards. So there's basically a Service Cloud reports and dashboards. If you're using Salesforce Sites, there's an awesome report and dashboard for like monitoring usage of your Salesforce site. And so I install that in every single org that like our customer, every single customer org. We use TrialForce to do a lot of our trial provisioning. And so we'll actually install some of these into the pre-provisioned trial. So our customers don't even have to go install those apps. So instead of sitting there and like recreating a bunch of reports and dashboards, you can install an app. It's not really, I mean, it's an app, but it's basically just a packaged like report and dashboard. And then I just want to have a word of caution. So some apps on the AppExchange are not actually free. They say they're free, but then they require like a subscription to their app that sits outside Salesforce. So be a little careful of that. And then a lot of the vendors or a lot of the partners, they'll offer a free app that has limited functionality. And those are great, but they're obviously the reason they're doing that is to upgrade you to one that has a lot more functionality. But it's a good way to test and see if it's something that they want to do. You can also test their support, right? And if if you send them an email and you're having an issue, obviously if they get back to you quickly, that means they're maybe somebody you want to do business with. And then just make sure you read the reviews. A lot of the apps, well, not a lot, but some of the apps haven't been updated in a couple of years. So that probably means support's not going to be as good as an app that's like brand new or that's constantly being updated. I think there's a lot of, for example, like say there's like an SI, like a partner, like a consulting partner, and they basically did some work for one customer, and then they just threw it up on the AppExchange, but like they're more focused on doing more projects and they're not really devoted to like maintaining that app. So make sure you read the reviews and you can see kind of how much it actually is a lot of effort for partners to provide like installation guides and the marketing aspects of their application. So there's the technical side and then there's the marketing side. And so like screenshots and like a good example will be Lightning Experience. It's actually a lot of effort for partners to make their app Lightning ready. And so it'll be interesting, obviously the goal, and that's probably one way over the next 6 months, basically look for apps that are Lightning ready. And that means that the partners have put a lot of effort into making sure their app works with the new Lightning experience. I think most partners will obviously go through and do that. Was there a question?
I was just going to ask if there was anything that would show the last update information.
Do you know, is there a last updated date?
I believe there might be something on the listing detail.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there is some kind of date on there. Yeah. And you can see actually by this chart, just over half of the apps are paid. So there are a lot of free apps on the AppExchange, and there's a lot of really good ones. And then one of the newest things on the AppExchange is components. And obviously, once the winter release comes out and you get access to the new Lightning experience, you'll basically be able to take, basically install components off the AppExchange. And I think this is really exciting for partners. Like, what's going on here? Yeah, I think this is really exciting for partners because they can basically take their current app and then build a component, and then you can basically drag and drop that component into your like lead or into your account. And I think a lot of partners are going to move towards building Lightning components, and that way they can expose all the functionality that they have in their app, but into a widget that you can basically drag and drop into your account layout. And then you want to talk about integrated?
No, and I think that's great, John. But in terms of a little bit of a sneak peek in terms of what's going forward, as John talked about the component exchange, I think we have 50 components up there right now. So as you start to move over to Lightning, it's a great place to sort of start, see what's possible with the Lightning experience. We expect partners are going to continue to build a lot of components. We expect that number to grow in the near future. But just in terms of a little bit of a sneak peek, as I said, we do 3 releases a year with regards to the AppExchange, and we're constantly trying to innovate and make your experience a better one. We're looking at what we're calling an AppExchange integrated store over the course of the next year. So inside of Salesforce, or today, if you're a customer or a partner, or you're looking for apps, obviously you're going to leave your environment, you're going to go to the AppExchange, and you're going to install, or you're going to browse and then install an application. We're looking to move that experience inside of Salesforce. So if you were to go either into the Lightning App Builder or even into Setup, and you needed an app or a component, you could have that same experience that you would normally get on the AppExchange inside of your environment. So as John talked a little about with the components, you can see here in some of these mock-ups, I'm in my environment, I need a component, I'm using the Lightning App Builder. I can very easily just navigate to the store, I can select components. I can see a list of all the available components. And again, it's a very similar experience as you would get if you were to just leave your environment and go to the AppExchange. I can find a component by category. Again, all of the same functionality we have on the site. Oh, that's the last one. And then install it directly into my org without ever having to leave. So we're really excited about this. I think it's going to really change the way that customers interact with the site and to really drive some installs, especially with the new Lightning experience and components. But again, just a little bit of a sneak peek in terms of what we're thinking of for the next year. So I think with that, we're definitely going to open up some Q&A if you guys have questions. So John's been a partner for a long, long time. I've worked at Salesforce for a long time. So anything top of mind? Go for it.
So sorry to be repetitive, but
Sure.
Back to the curator, you've got some apps that are big at the top,
Right.
and ones that are small. Is she making those decisions?
So anything that's big at the top is curated by her. So that's things she wants us said to stand out. The stuff, typically the way it works is there's the curated section, and then right below that we start with popularity. So popularity is a rolling metric we have on our side that's a combination of a ton of different factors, from installs, reviews, page visits, searches, all kinds of things. So as I said, there's usually the curated section, and then right after that you will get the most popular apps determined by our popularity metric.
None of those statistics are used by her to decide what she curated?
Oh, it definitely is. I mean, she's definitely looking at that stuff. But as I said, she's talking to these partners on a daily basis, right? She's reaching out, she's installing these apps, she's curating the digests.
There's also office hours where you can basically go and they'll look at your listing with you and help you improve it. And obviously, the better quality your listing is, the better chance you have of being curated. Yeah, so it's definitely. I mean, you need to put a lot of effort into making sure your listing's awesome. You know, videos, putting a video on the AppExchange listing is valuable, and reviews too. I mean, if you've got a lot of customers, ask them to write reviews for you, and that's a big part of it.
Yeah, and as John alluded to earlier, like if your first experience with a partner is the listing and the listing doesn't look very great, right? There's not a ton of marketing materials. You don't see many screenshots. There's the related documentation's not there. It's usually a bit of a red flag, right? Because this is their first interaction with you. So if they haven't put a ton of time into that, I would be a little bit concerned. Any other questions? Thank you guys for coming and being patient with our technology issues.
Great, thanks.
Bye, guys.